get so mad, there's no controlling me. My thoughts get so bad, I'm like, oh God, here goes. I lost all feeling from my head to my toes. You said some shit that I can't let go, so just stay tuned for the rest of the show.
In terms of work and your workplace, what kind of adjustments do you think would be useful to somebody who's listening, or somebody who's thinking of someone they know? What kind of things do you think would be good?
So I use certain tools to help me. So I have Grammarly on everything, which obviously just sort of, it's not perfect, but it does help with certain things I don't necessarily spot. Because I used to have this at school. They used to go, well, you need to proofread, and it'd be like, but it makes sense to me. Like, I can't proofread something when I actually think it's right. So I always have Grammarly on, it's on my phone and it's on my laptop, and it does obviously automatically check my texts or, anything that I'm sending. Also about taking time. I'm not someone who quickly fires off an email, unless it's people who know me really well and will know that it's probably just just me being quick. And I think everyone has that. I think everyone sends off a quick email and then it's got mistakes or the tone isn't potentially right. So I do tend to take a little bit more time when I send an email or something, just to make sure that what I'm saying is what I actually mean. But yeah, there's lots of software out there to help people, and lots of different ways of learning, and actually just asking people for help. Like, just speak to people, tell them like, or can you just proofread this, or can you just check that, I've got a few people when I write articles, because I quite often write articles that are technical for people, and I will just run it past someone else and just say, could you just, double check that I've got this information right, and that I've not got a word completely wrong. I used to, when I was much younger, just if I didn't know how to spell a word, I would just change it for a different word, and that works to a certain extent, but then sometimes it does lose the importance if you keep changing it for a word that you can spell. So now I've got better at like just finding out how you actually spell the word you want, or asking someone. So I think it's just rely on other people, let people help you, and don't be embarrassed about it. It's not embarrassing. Being dyslexic is not embarrassing. I'm not embarrassed by it. I don't want anyone else to feel embarrassed by it. And I do hear people say, oh, I can't write a blog post because I'm dyslexic. Yes, you can. Just ask someone to proofread it for you. Like, you can do it. You just, you might sit there and have to put it down a few times or rewrite it a few times, or have someone else you dictate it and they write it, but you can do it.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more, that actually draw on your network, draw on your peers, draw on the people that are around you that give you that support. Having that safe network is really important. And for an employer, what tips would you give to an employer in that regard, where they think, oh well, that means I've got another layer of somebody else has to check someone's work? Or
but I think if you see the dyslexic brain as a benefit, right? These are people that can see three-dimensionally. They can look at a problem in a way that others can't and find a solution that other people can't, right? You can take something that seems really complicated and make it really simple. And you might have to get someone else to proofread someone's work, but you might end up with work that's far more superior. You'll get copy that everybody can read rather than just one or two people that fully understand it. So, if you're a particularly sort of a marketing role and you're trying to explain how this particular product benefits someone, it is better to get someone who can actually simplify so that a 9-year-old can read it, right? Everyone should be able to read it. There should be, it shouldn't be a barrier that I can't sell my product because I can't explain it to someone else. So there is always a benefit for anything. And there is always going to be, someone's got something that you need to make adjustments for.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah. And it's interesting that you talked about you know, you're so positive about it and really championing that, and it shouldn't be a barrier, and that's absolutely it. And that for me, any kind of, nothing should be a barrier for people. You know, these things come up, but actually learning how to get over them, but knowing also where your support is and being able to talk about it is
Yeah.
so key for whatever it is that you're facing, whatever is a challenge for you.
I think that's why it took me so long to actually write an article about it, because I didn't actually really think it was a thing. Like I think I grew up in a generation where dyslexia wasn't a thing, right? People didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
And I just got on with it, that I didn't really view it as a negative or something that was diverse or different. And then it's only recently when I've now got friends whose kids are being diagnosed with dyslexia, and they're like, oh, what do I do? And I'm like, oh, nothing, it's fine. They'll, you know, just tell them it's a good thing. Tell them it's a positive and they'll be fine. And I think now when you do become a parent, you start to realize that you have a voice and you have to tell people, and that telling people it's good is probably what's needed. So yeah, that's probably why I wrote it. I look at things differently. I look at things very differently to my husband. He's not dyslexic. We view everything differently, and it's nice, you know. He proofreads a lot of my work.
But yeah, it's really important to have somebody to kind of have to give you that support, and you know, what a lovely positive message to actually put out there, because I'm sure there's plenty of people in the industry who are quietly not telling anybody that, and kind of suffering quietly.
Yeah, and people are quietly missing out on people who could really give you some really great information, because they're not, you know, they're too scared to put pen to paper and write a blog article or get involved in presentations. I mean, as a dyslexic person, getting up on stage and doing a presentation is horrendous. Like, especially if you haven't, like, if it's something you're passionate about and you know, fine, because I can't read off on auto cue or read off, you know, notes. So if I get up and do a presentation, I have to know it. I have to know it inside and out and just talk. Whereas a lot of people can just go up with, you know, a few notes and know what they're doing, and that doesn't work, because I look at the notes and I'm like, I have no idea what that says. And I think there's a few people out there that are probably exactly like that. They won't put themselves forward because they'll be like, oh, well, I can't read the presentation, or I might make a mistake. And yeah, so it is harder. You have to learn a presentation word for word, not, you know, skim read it.
That's amazing. That's really good, and I really applaud your article, and
thank you.
Absolutely. I can think of several people actually that I know have just struggled and found their way whichever way, but we haven't seen their full potential as a result, and that's
I think that's it. I mean, I've had someone not that long ago who said, oh, well, you know, but I can't write an article, and I was, because I'm dyslexic, and it's really hard, and, you know, or even an email takes them longer. But it is just, you know, you can do it. You just have to try. And it won't get it right the first time, but there are tools out there, you know, there are, you know, Jasper or there are others that, you know, and artificial intelligence that will make your work better. It will write it or help write it better, or give you some ideas on how to put sentences together.
Perfect.
And then just reading a lot. I read an awful lot. Just to keep getting better.
Which what format do you use when you're reading?
A Kindle. I can't read a book. Because again, it's the I mean, I do wear glasses as well, so my eyesight is not the best, but I can make the writing bigger, brighter. I can change the background, so it does make it a lot better. So I generally tend to read with a Kindle.
Do you have issues with any particular fonts?
There are certain fonts that are much easier. So, and this is, again, when you're doing marketing, I will always say to someone, you know, with a website, make sure you're doing like, you know, Open Sans or something that's really simple. And then when I see websites that are in, you know, odd typefaces, it grates on me.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's definitely certain fonts. Arial, Open Sans are all really good for people with dyslexia, or bad eyesight, both. So yeah, and it's the same when I talk to my clients, and, you know, they're putting out, whether it be a blog article or they're putting something to print, I always try and make sure that they're really aware that typeface does make a difference to some people.
It does, yeah. And there are some fonts that people just can't decode. It's really hard.
Yeah.
It's not that they can't, it just takes them a lot longer. It's
So you're
more of
putting
a
up
challenge.
barrier to someone. And you wouldn't believe the amount of websites that are in fonts that people would struggle to read, or where they've got so much copy. Yeah.
And for some of my friends, even the color of, so being able to read something on a different print, so instead of white paper with black, actually having a different color paper makes the words lift out, and it's easier for them to read as well. So
that was the only thing they did give me at school, was they
really?
gave me some different colored acetate. Way to make you feel like you're really different. Because the problem with a different coloured acetate, it would have just always fall out of the book.
Of course it would, yeah.
It didn't really help.
No.
But luckily now at school, I guess you've got tablets and things that are, less obvious that you're reading through a different colour.
And often, I mean, I'm just thinking of a couple of the students that I worked with who had dyslexia. They didn't just have dyslexia. Often it was some of them, well, one of them I'm thinking of now had dyspraxia as well. So just being able to navigate and she grew up, and this was an adult learner, she grew up just thinking she was clumsy.
Yeah.
Wasn't diagnosed, didn't have, great balance and coordination. And that combined with trying to decode information and all of that, just the combination was really stressful. She is now absolutely brilliant. She's a fantastic teacher in a secondary school, doing really well. Her students are doing really well, and she can relate to her students that much better because she gets it and understands. But she's in a really supportive team where the school get it and get her and have given her those opportunities to really grow into her role. And very proud of her.
That goes back to what you were saying about an employer. There's someone there whose students are really benefiting from her being different, and the same would happen in a work environment.
Yeah, really enriching, really is. And coming back to what you said right at the beginning about being creative and seeing things differently, what a massive asset to any organization to have somebody who's really creative instead of that straight linear kind of it takes all sorts. It takes everybody, it takes a mixture of people to bring things alive sometimes.
And I certainly think, because when someone does bring a problem, I do generally think I look at it a very different way, and I think any company can benefit from someone who just looks at something slightly differently, and it could be that it's a tiny tweak that would make something perfect or make it resonate with other people, but other people might just not see it.
Oh, exactly. Where can people find you, Vicki?
Well, I'm
obviously LinkedIn.
You can find me on LinkedIn. I do a lot of social media for everyone else except me, so probably won't find me there. I am on Twitter, but mainly contact me on LinkedIn if you've got any questions. I did have a couple of people reach out after I posted that article to say that their kids have recently been diagnosed, and and it was really nice. It was nice to kind of feel like I could say something that was positive.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. And I will point people in your direction.
Thank
100%.
you.
I'm sure
more than happy to talk to anyone who.
But it's just, it's great to have such a positive outlook and to give people that positive role model, which you are. So thank you so much. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for putting your blog out.
Yes, thank you very much. It was lovely to chat.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.